So this drama, CW, Connor apparently hit the nail on the head of why people are so scared to enjoy problematic media. Now, what is considered problematic media? Problematic media may come in the form of lolly content, where the definition of lolly is extremely lucid. I don't know if the word's lucid, but essentially, uh, it's in contention for a lot of people because let me quickly check what the definition of lolly genre. What's the law? What is so? Let's check this. Fun lolly genre. So it goes to where, on the surface, it means it's lolly is short for lolicon or lolita complex is category anime, manga, and video game featuring fictional, youthful-looking female characters. Youthful-looking characters. That's like the surface level what a lolicon is, right? And that's an example of a problematic media because most Japanese media that I've seen display lollies as like, think of Beatrice from, is it Beatrice? From ReZero. Beatrice from ReZero is an example of lolicon fashion where she's a small petite young girl with massive hair drills, and she is supposed to be 300 years old, and the idea is that these characters look young and are youthful, but the problem is the portrayal is in the form of like someone small enough and short enough to be your own daughter. And so there's two types of like frictions to where someone thinks anybody who looks small and who looks like a child is a child, and someone on the other side saying someone is youthful and young looking, and they style themselves based on that, right? There's two diametrically opposed forces to where people like the idea of what a lolicon represents, and then there's another to where people automatically assign it to pedophilia, and in some ways it feels like the harder that some people fight against any form of media that depicts a young character and has the surface level appearance of a young character, people are either really defensive of what that can mean or defensive of what it actually is, and it's like trying to convince somebody that problematic media isn't completely problematic, right? But to get into it, Connor said stuff during the recent pod. Hey Connor. Connor said some recent stuff in the last Trash Days podcast, I think, to where he is addressing it, although everybody and Asmongold has come across this, and it is incredibly has incredibly divided the media. It's brought in people who don't watch a lot of anime, and has brought in people who do, and people who only watches anime. Because there's even people that watches anime and don't read the manga. There's manga readers only. There's manga anime readers. And in my 30s, I've come to be primarily manga, to where if I receive it in manga form first, I will mostly I am more actively following manga media versus anime, because the amount of time it takes me to finish manga is a lot shorter, making it more digestible than anime. Anime, I'm forced to sit down and watch it, or if it's English dubbed, which nowadays is being questionably like dubbed by English VA. That's a whole thing. It's hard to follow, to make time for English dubs, but ultimately, what does he have to say?
Modern younger people and audiences, older people too, have been like, they're like not brainwashed, but like fucking coached into like seeing things that are problematic and thinking like, what is this?
Yeah.
This is not a reflection of me or my character. It's like, bro, you played a game. It's like, if I played Sino Uta, doesn't mean I'm a fan. I'm a #1 like stan of Uta. I love everything about it. It's like, I experienced the story that was on offer. Yeah. And I think people are afraid to jump or be seen playing games like this because they're like, it's like, bro, that is not even remotely close to the truth. And when you boil down conversations like that of discussing media like this, you are absolutely robbing any nuance in any way to discuss these things.
And that's all he says. That's all he says in the clip. And again, this is a show that's been going on. Let me just, for the memes, dude. Sorry, real advance for the memes. And this is a whole thing to where this is taken from their 200th episode, like maybe going into like 6-7 years of podcasting. And again, the space of anime and the space of media has changed in 6-7 years, right? The half-life of most people's interests is as little as like 3 to 6 weeks, 3 to 6 months, much like drama. People make up drama and problematic, and like what they're talking about is hold on, let me put you on blast because it's a funny background clip. Sino Uta, and they're talking about the game Sino Uta, to where the Song of Saya is a psychological horror game, visual novel depicted by written by Gen Urobuchi. And if you don't know Gen Urobuchi, let's look up Gen Urobuchi. Gen Urobuchi is the creative mind that was behind what is it? Magi Madoka Magica, Aldnoah Zero. Oh, he wrote Kamen Rider Gaim. Sick. That's my favorite. That's one of my favorite manga. What is it? Kamen Riders. But let's see. He was the writer for Revengers, Bubbles, Obsolete, Psycho-Pass, Godzilla, Planet Eater. He wrote for. Let's see. What other animes he's wrote? Fate Zero. We know Gen Urobuchi as like a really good writer, and I think he is helming what is it? Evangelion. I think he's writing Evangelion. Okay. Okay, so he's not gonna be the creative the person. Anyways, but yeah, no, like this clip of Connor of Trash Taste is having a conversation based on the conversation of Sino Uta, to where this game in itself is it's the whole point of it from 2003 is a psychological horror visual novel following a medical student, Fuminori Sakisaka, who survived a horrific car crash that killed his parents. He undergoes and this is spoilers for people who haven't played it, right? This is the spoilers of a 20-year-old game where Sakisaka undergoes an experimental brain surgery that saves his life, but leaves him with severe forms of agnosia. His reality shatters. He perceives everything as a grotesque wasteland of rotten flesh and blood. And then there's this, he sees this person, Saya, and looks to be, it's portrayed in the game, where he sees everything like flesh and gore, and he's messed up. He lived the car crash, but his perspective is flesh and gore until he meets this person, Saya. I would like to think her name is Saya. Again, I have not played this game. This is a visual novel I don't think I can play on stream, and I want to play most games that I can play on stream. But this in itself an example of problematic content, and there's definitely a environment to where people may say that they would crucify you, right, if you say this is your favorite game, because of like the premise of you are like seeing this person who looks young, XYZ. This also takes place where the victim is of a high school middle school age, and for whatever reason, I think most anime and mangas start their characters at the tail end of their middle school age going into high school, or they do most of their adventures in grade school and in middle school. I think of Hitman Reborn. That protagonist was a middle schooler, right? And that show, like, that series bounces back and forth between time travel to show like their adult counterparts, right? But the crux of the conversation is that I lost the plot, but he has a conversation to where like you will never completely satisfy the opinion of others when you would share your preferences, right? Your shared content, because there'd be people who says that, oh, you like Saya no Uta? What do you think about it? There's a group of people that will say, hey, what are your thoughts on this psychological horror of a visual novel from the 2000s, before YouTube was a thing, before social media was born, right? Some people say that some things died when social media was born, right? So people would share these things and they would have conversation like this, right? Some people would say, hey, how do you feel about Saya no Uta? How do you feel about this experience, right? And there are others to where they have the hard line of any character that are a minor should not be touched. If you have that's bad. If you have a character in media that depicts of a child, you want to keep these kid characters in kid settings. Think things that are safe for PBS, things that are like Hey Arnold, things that are like Hey Arnold, Arthur. Actually, you know what? Hold on. Why do I say Hey Arthur? Is it Hey Arthur? Was it Hey Arthur? It's called Arthur. Oh, the because I think everybody knows when I say Hey Arthur, because if the show is called Arthur, but his sister yells DW. His sister DW says Hey Arthur to do the whole thing, right? Anyway, what is this? What's it? Oh my god. Man. What am I getting at? There's a point to this. We want to keep our characters as safe as possible, right? But the moment that you depict a young character in a show like Ero Manga Sensei, people like just run wild with it, right? People get highly defensive about, no, why is that your favorite? Why is that your favorite character? Why do you have a figure of this character, right? There's you can never like something peacefully. Ultimately, there's a problem to where you can't like these things peacefully without being called pedophilic or Zionistic or anything, right?
Modern young people and audiences, older people too, have been like, they're like not brainwashed, but like fucking coached into like seeing things that are problematic and thinking like,
think problematic like anything. Like when I think about problematic, I'm thinking maybe like Stellar Blade. People found there was a Western audience that felt like Stellar Blade was a problem because there's a girl and she is depicted very what is it? What's the word I'm looking for? There's a girl in a skin tight tracksuit, and she's depicted as with very voluptuous I'm an adult, right? I'm an adult. She has a very large set of assets in a skin tight onesie, and it's a little, people call it smutty, people call it problematic because, hey, boobs don't like jiggle like that, or butts don't jiggle that much, right? And then they say this is too pretty, she's being sexualized, she's being put into compromised positions, and you should cancel this game. And at the same time, people don't like unattractive women in games because that's the same thing that's happened to Concord when Concord lived and died in the course of 2 weeks and got delisted and removed from platforms. There was things like Highguard had a short life on the internet because it became problematic for its game loops, I think, for the way it played. And yet that lived. And then we have Dragon's Dogma, the Dragon Age the Veilguard, to where it addressed problematic issues in a problematic way, to where it had all the virtual signalings of identity politics. And you can have identity politics in games and media. You can have sexy characters in game and media. And the problem has to be not and the real problem isn't the content itself, but how it's addressed. To where in Stellar Blade you have this extremely attractive character who has these extremely attractive body proportions, doing things like doing things that you would do in Dark Souls and Bloodborne and Devil May Cry, right? But then the moment you start sexualizing a man, that's okay. There's a problematic situation where you can't have sexualized women in gaming, but the sexualization of men is okay. Think Ryu from Street Fighters. Think Leoshi back here. Is this character is called Leosh from Beastars, right? This is an anthropomorphic wolf guy who is shirtless and jeans. He is also in high school, but people have no problems with him, right? Because he's not close to reality. We have this guy, I think his name is Geese. I think he's Geese, or some other character from Fist of the North Star. He's shirtless with pants. Oh my god, it's a man who's shirtless. But it's okay because he has extremely muscular muscles, and he's from a fighting game. That's unrealistic. The premise of that game are unrealistic. There is a duality that a lot of people virtual signal against, and there's people who try to have a reasonable conversation to where ultimately you have these figures to represent something that you enjoy, and at the same time, you want to have these figures to. They're like conversational pieces, right? They're like that one poster on the wall that says, "Hey, I like this game so much that there's a poster about it, and I could talk to you about why this is my favorite thing on this wall," right? And then there's also this figure. This figure, it's the same thing as having like, "Hey, I have a neon light of a corgi with his butt turned around towards you," and it's my favorite thing because dogs are cute, right? And it's really funny that a corgi butt looks like a heart shape, right? That's funny. That's why we like it. But there's nothing problematic about a dog because we associate dogs in any form or any fashion to be cute. Heck, there's even a friend of mine when we were playing Magic just the other day, to where he is a dog lover so much that he will not be the reason that a dog is killed, which is in a very funny way to where like we played a game, right? And everybody understands that animal cruelty is a problematic thing. If you enjoy shocking your dog, if you enjoy putting your dog into compromising situations to where the dog gets hurt, you are immediately frowned upon, right? But in the context of some games, if you find a dog in Bloodborne and he's about to kill you, it's natural to kill the dog in self-defense or any wolf-like creature, right? My friend was fighting against another deck that produced tokens of dogs, tokens of cats. No, his deck's job is to make dogs that went and fetched items from the opponent's top deck and from his deck. And when he was facing a platoon of dogs that could kill him when he was at 21 life, he accepted all the damage because he didn't want to be the reason that the toughness of the dog dropped below base value, and he did not want to be responsible for when a dog card went to the graveyard. He's a man of principle. That's incredibly silly, right? And then you have a situation right here to where, in this case, there's a game about psychological horror. That in itself is problematic because people like horror games. People don't like horror games. They just can't digest it or can't process it, right? Now it's ultimately really funny to where, why am I yapping about this? I'm yapping because problematic media stays problematic as long as people don't make a conscious effort to have a conversation. And that's just honestly the thing about it. If you're not willing to have a conversation about why that bothers you, and if you can just not immediately attack the other person and have a discussion, everything would just be fine. You can dislike the other person's media and be okay with it, right? The moment something stays problematic when you back the first person to fire the shot, right? Problematic media stays problematic when you support the person who is attacking another person for their favorite thing. And that's the crux of the conversation. So it's incredibly wild to where CDawg VA may get some flack, and he may be the reason why the Blue Archive thing didn't go well for the English-speaking individuals. But at the same time, it's completely... It feels like for show when you make hard lines about these kind of discussions. Kind of like how during the Supergirl situation, the Supergirl movie had its thing, it didn't do very well, and then when the actress was being interviewed, she was pressed for conversations to where questions like asking about the character's sexuality, the character's preferences, and why should that matter, right? The problematic, and then in that scenario, the problem from Supergirl was that the problematic, it's a tough conversation about sexuality, right? Sexuality is always problematic, but people don't bat an eye when someone's clearly heterosexual or homosexual. But it's a problem when you force that onto people who doesn't want to participate. Am I making sense? There's a point here, and I'm not completely sure.